I think there's no TV trope that I hate more than a comedian playing a worse version of themselves. So this was a doomed watch from the start. Not to say I wasn't willing to give it a chance. I wasn't hopeful, but I was willing to give it a chance because I never disliked Katherine Ryan. She's not one of my favourite female comedians, but she is like... she's fine. I was always like, oh, okay. She's fine. So when I heard this was coming out and when I found out what it actually was, I kind of went like, I was wavering already, thinking it's probably going to suck. But I was kind of like going into it going, well, it can't be any worse than things like Real Rob, right? And I mean, I hated this, but it still wasn't as bad as Real Rob. God. So Katherine Ryan, played by Katherine Ryan, has this daughter who she had with this boy band member back in the day, and now he's an insane guy trying to stay off the grid by living on a boat down by the canal. Why? Because this show... I don't want to be the guy who comes out and says this show doesn't like men, but there's two men in this, you know, there are two primary male characters in this season, and by the end of it, you're just left thinking both of them are shit, you know? So, I'm not going to say that this show hates men. I am going to say that it, at the very least, disregards them as unimportant. I think that's the best case scenario way to put it. So the premise of the show is that Katherine, who's apparently a great mother but terrible person, but doesn't really come off that way, it doesn't really quite balance that well, you know, she wakes her daughter up in the middle of the night to bring her down to a bar so she can run into her ex-boyfriend on purpose and stuff like that. And it's, you know, there's just several times like that where you go, what? And yet, you know, it just jumps so much to... between these, you know, her being totally ridiculous, insane, madcap, raunchy comedy style, and then the next scene she's like having this really nice conversation with her daughter, and it's so happy, you know, it feels like a completely different show, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, here's my 1 minute review for The Duchess.
I was wrong if I ever made you believe that your dad or I was perfect. We love you a lot, but we respect you too.
I can't quite describe how dumb the show is, because there's a difference between being a raunchy comedy that also manages to have poignant moments and a comedy that involves her injecting this guy's sperm into herself to get pregnant for months, and then in the next scene, you know, that's like a montage, and then the next scene she's having this nice conversation with her daughter, which seems like this, you know, gentle family drama, and it doesn't work, it doesn't feel right. You're watching it going, what the fuck, am I on acid? The show can't decide what it wants to be, and I always struggle at least a bit with shows that, A, you know, by having so much raunchy comedy in this, it's lowering the amount of audience it could get, okay? No doubt. B, by having this lead character who's just a shitty person throughout and doesn't become any nicer or better to anyone, I again feel like there's a lot of people who just wouldn't want to watch that as soon as they hear that's what it's about, you know? Myself included. But that's just my opinion. I'm giving this 43 out of 100, and I'm going to hope that this sinks into that mass of Netflix shows cancelled after like a season. And then it disappears from my mind soon. Hopefully. Well, that's all for this one. Yeah. I'm watching various TV right now to get reviews up, but I mean, some of them it just takes some effort to get through, you know? At least this was short, if nothing else. Well, let me know what else you want to see reviewed on the channel, and please subscribe. Bye!